Welcome to Butterflies of Wisdom, everyone. And this afternoon with me, I have Jess. Jess is an intuitive healer and more of a teacher. She just said to me, she teaches people about intuitive healing, such as Reiki and all that good stuff, healing the body naturally without medicine. So without further ado, I'm going to let Jess take it away.
Hi, thank you for having me on your show. I'm Jessie Dujari. I'm of Healing Pathwalkers. I call it a platform for people to be able to find their own divinity off of. I teach classes on consciousness expansion, actually. I'm not actually a Reiki practitioner. I teach people how to connect into source consciousness, that infinite consciousness, directly, and to channel that energy in different ways, whether it's to healing their body, healing their soul, healing their connections with each other or with that infinite consciousness, and to learn how to be empowered in their lives so they feel like their life is theirs instead of they're the subject. They're the master.
Well, it's funny you say that, Jess, because I am just now stepping into my own as of 30 years old with cerebral palsy and just figuring out my dream career. I mean, I've been in teaching preschool since 2006, and I'm slowly but surely walking away from teaching to turn my passion into my career, which is journalism. So I think listening to my inner wisdom since '06 and coming up, I was originally a self-taught artist. My art is floating around. But I really like the journalistic side of interviews, so why not make my podcast stronger by getting a degree in journalism?
That's beautiful. That's perfect. That's exactly what I work on, teaching people.
Isn't that funny that I bring something up like that? Because a lot of us are controlled by the outside universe. A lot of us are controlled by our daily jobs and our lives of being moms, of being teachers, of being everything else. I mean, I stepped into a role which I didn't expect at age 23, being a woman of the house after losing my mom to a brain aneurysm / meningitis. And so I didn't really step into my own power, even though I was raised as a bone-bodied woman. I didn't step into my own power until I was 23 years old.
That's actually pretty early. I work with some people that are still trying to step into their power in their 70s.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I don't feel so bad. So through all this, why did you start all this, and what has been your greatest success?
Well, I guess, that's a hard question only because my whole life has been leading me towards this path. As a young child, I was extremely intuitive. I saw ghosts and knew aliens were real, and then I had to shut all that down as I entered into the kind of mainstream culture where it's not really acceptable or allowed. And, I studied a lot of psychology in school and I just was always teaching people. I was either, I started in high school as a peer counselor and a peer tutor, being trained through Planned Parenthood and through the high school programs. I moved into doing math lab tutoring in college, and then took a lot of coaching classes, and then in the workforce, I was always either in the training department or writing training manuals or so on and so forth. And then I got married and became a housewife and a mother. And so just this kind of gradual transition and progression. And as all of us who are mothers know, we're our children's first teachers. So then I started working at the school, volunteering at his school a lot and teaching, and I opened a clothing design business as a means of being able to express myself creatively and having something in my life other than housework. So I was doing clothing design, and what I found was my clients were coming to me more to spend time with me and talk with me and get advice and share where they were at in their lives than they were for clothing. Some people were even buying clothes they knew had to be altered just to have an excuse to schedule with me. And around that time, I met my teacher. At the time, my teacher, she's a healer, a master healer of 20 years, trained in many different modalities and disciplines, and had created her own system of energy work that is free of modality, that's really just working with root core source energy. And that was like finding home. And it just exploded from that point forward, and it became really clear that what I was here to do was help others tap into source consciousness and help them expand their consciousness back into that infinite creation. And since, let's see, I started healing pathwalkers about 3.5, almost 4 years ago now. And I started out doing session work with people, one-on-one work and readings. And I'd been a tarot reader my whole life, so I would do tarot readings. And I started incorporating energy work into it and crystals and essential oils and bringing just all these different tools that I could to the table to help people heal. And then it turned into, wow, I'm saying the same things over and over and over to people and kind of the same progression. And I started building classes. So now I have a recorded series of classes for helping people, a life mastery class and a let it flow class and workshops, and it's just constantly growing and growing as my student base grows and what they need. You asked what my greatest success is. Gosh, I would say my greatest success is every person that connects back into that infinite consciousness is my success. I've had people heal themselves of terminal illness. I've had people completely change their whole life path, find their passion, take their businesses to the next level, heal their marriages, so many different things. And I would think every single one of those is my greatest success.
Well, I'm truly gifted to talk to you, and I'm in the process of finding my passion. My passion is journalism. People know I'm making a career pivot in my teaching job, and I have decided I am a full-time podcaster who plays teacher on the side of a full-time podcast because I need something to keep me stimulated, and kids certainly keep me stimulated, but the paycheck isn't good. So I'm like, well, let's follow the passion here. Let's just be real here and let's face facts and follow my passion of journalism.
Yeah, I definitely find for myself and those that I work with, once we let go of the should and what I should do and who I should be and how I should be earning money, and open up to what is it that makes me feel alive and connected and like I'm walking what I came here to do. As soon as you make that transition and commit to it in your life opens up and creates all the avenues for that to be possible.
Yes, it does. So once I hit to send on the application. I know that I will be a journalist, and I know journalism is my true calling. It's been my true calling since I was the age of 6 when I discovered I had CP. At the time, I only knew it as CP. It wasn't until I was in high school that I discovered the full official title for my disability, which is cerebral palsy.
Yes. You know, when I was a young woman, really young, my mother ran a organization called Cloud Dancers in New Mexico. And it taught people of all sorts of different physical disabilities how to ride horses. And one of the clients there was a young girl who had cerebral palsy. And at the time, she was so far down the progression of it that she really couldn't interact with people anymore. She couldn't talk. She had lost not only her physical ability, but her will to even try. And after 6 months of being in this program of riding horses every day, she started interacting with us and looking us in the eye and seeking a connection with people. And after 2 years, she was doing things like trying to play tennis and hold the racket and engaged with the person on the other side of the court, not just someone right in front of her. And watching that, as well as many others, change and grow through this interaction with the horse, it inspired me greatly in my life. She's still somebody who I obviously remember and am inspired by.
Well, equine therapy is amazing, but let's get back to yourself. What has been your what has been your entrepreneurial defeat that it's like, oops, I wish I never did that?
Oh, well, that would definitely be not trusting myself. Seeking to connect with other people to do things that I didn't trust myself to do for myself. That would be my single greatest defeat. Every single time I've tried to shuck off a responsibility for fear of not being able to, or being overwhelmed by, or thinking, oh, that's just not what's for me, and not thinking someone else would be able to do that better, that has always turned out to not be a good thing for me, which is very different than collaborative work, which I love also. I love to collaborate with other people with their passions, but looking for somebody else to do the parts that I don't want to, like the business parts, that's always ended up sacking me in the end. A hard lesson to learn.
Yep.
One well learned.
Yep. Well, you love collaboration. You just don't like the business, and you like the more creative side of it.
Well, yeah, and I think people in this field, none of us like the business end of it in general. It's pretty uncommon to find a quote unquote healer who likes to do taxes, but knowing that I can, learning to have that confidence in myself that I can show up in every avenue of my business, and makes it so that when I am collaborating creatively with others, I'm not holding them responsible for me, which frees them to show up as their whole selves as well in the collaboration rather than a commitment.
Now I see what you're getting at. So, what is your favorite book? And it doesn't have to be business related. It just has to be a book that you go back to time and time again.
Well, there are very few novels that I read over and over, but the one book and one book that I do read over and over would have to be The Mists of Avalon by Marion Zimmer Bradley. That would probably be my all-time favorite book.
That would be your all-time favorite book, and I presume that book could be found on Amazon.
Oh, for sure, yes, it definitely could. It's the retelling of the King Arthur story, but it's told from the perspective
Okay.
of the women in the story.
How cool is that?
Yeah,
How cool is
it's
that?
very cool.
So where can people find you, and how can people get a hold of you?
Well, first of all, I do every weekday morning, I do a morning show called Morning Oasis. And I do that on Facebook Live. It's a live broadcast from 10 to 11 Pacific time. And we cover all kinds of topics in that. We do a morning card pull for 3 of the listeners and to pull different kinds of oracle cards or tarot cards, and I share whatever intuitively comes to me. Then I talk on a subject for 15 to 20 minutes. And then we do a 15 to 20 minute guided meditation for the last part of the show. That's usually a channeled meditation, kind of in tune with whatever the energy is or maybe what we talked about. That's one way people can experience my work, experience me, and join a community of really amazing individuals who have found their way into the Morning Oasis. They can also find me on my website, which is www.healingpathwalkers.com, and there is some information. My dear friend Shauna Smith and I work together to kind of hold that space. She does an angel reading blog there once a week. You can find out how to work with us and either one of us in sessions or find out about my classes. And then, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. There's lots of different ways to find me. But Healing Pathwalkers has a group on Facebook and a page as well.
And before I let Jess go, I'm going to let Jess ask me a couple questions about anything that she's been wanting to ask me.
Well, I would love to know, what subjects do you like to report on in your journalistic career? What would be your dream subject?
My dream subject, my dream interviewee, and if anyone's listening and could start to invite that would be great. My dream interviewee would be Michelle Obama. I tell you why. Because her educational aspects seem to amaze me. And I still try to keep up with the Let's Get Moving campaign, which was her campaign while she was in office. So I want to ask her why she came up with that and why she is so into having kids move and not be on the iPads so much. So yes, that would be my dream interviewee. My dream reporting would be reporting on disability awareness, because what I've noticed is when you say you have cerebral palsy, people go next and what is that? And then when you say I have cancer, I don't know what to do, people go, how can I help you? How can I help you? How can I help you? So I think even though I'm getting a degree in fashion journalism, one aspect is going to be fashion. The other aspect is going to be disability awareness. The other aspect is just going to be continuing my podcast.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. My husband's blind, actually, and he's a commissioner for the Commission for the Blind. So disability awareness is a big subject in our house, and I love that you're out there championing for it. Thank you for your work and your efforts.
Well, you're welcome. You're the second person that said that to me today, and I'm like,
well, then you were meant to hear it.
Why do this? Thank you for championing disabilities here. No, and I actually am deeply involved with the blind community, and I should say that I wish I was more deeply involved with the blind community than I am. I think I'm more. I don't think I'm doing enough for cerebral palsy. I am certainly not doing enough for the blind community. Geez.
Well, remember, you are one being in a sea of other beings.
Yeah.
So your work promotes others to step forward, and that's the most important thing, is getting everyone recognizing we're all champions for each other.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to thank you so much for the opportunity to be on your program, and thank your listeners for taking the time to listen. And really, I wish you all the best of luck with your passion pursuit and your intuition development.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate Jess's time today, and I appreciate you guys for tuning into this podcast. As of Monday, we reached 40,000 downloads, and so now I am hoping to reach 700 downloads just in a single episode. So we'll make that happen, but slowly. But I appreciate Jess's time. All Jess's information could be found in the show notes, and by the time you hear this, it is recorded on Thursday, April 20th. By the time you hear this, it would be Monday, April 24th. So that's how I do it. And this podcast is sponsored by Grace by Grit. Grace by Grit is closing the line out of California. Grace by Grit has kindly offered you guys 20% off of any athletic apparel on their website. So I appreciate that. This podcast is also sponsored by Go Kidder. Go Kidder, Kitter, is a Twitter desktop app. You compose a tweet, they put the hashtag in for you, and that magic is all started by Kelly and Collins. If you guys want to go back and listen to Kelly's story, just go to butterfliesofwisdom.com and look for Kelly and Collins, and then you'll figure out why she's sponsoring the show. And I hope you guys enjoyed another fabulous episode. Thanks to you guys.